Welcome back to the HGC. We are starting to prepare for our next match of the day. It's going to be a good one. It's our last one here at HGC Europe for week 7. And it's going to be big, Caldor.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good one. Expert is going up against Dignitas now. So we have two teams that are currently having high ambitions to go to the HGC finals at BlizzCon. The match is going to mean a lot for the two of them.
Means a lot too here for Expert. Let's go and look at the standings here as they are currently floating around in the middle of the pack right now. With their couple of games earlier, they're at the number 3, 5 and 4. Dignitas with the 6 and 4. So competing for that top 3. And this is something that we had a few weeks ago where it was Team Liquid, Fnatic, and Dignitas and Expert that were all fighting for these opponents to go to the Western Clash. And Expert was able to overcome Dig.
Yeah, and there is a very, very important thing here to note, because we have in the first part of Phase 2, Expert defeating Dignitas with a 3-2. So it is absolutely crucial for Dignitas to win here. If Dignitas wins, then the two teams, when it comes to the direct comparison, are tied because of the 1-1. So if it comes to a tie at the end of the phase in terms of matches, and we're looking first of all at the direct comparison. If Dignitas wins here, that would be a tie, and so we would look towards the maps instead. But if we are now ending up with Expert once again getting the upper hand over Dignitas, then that entire thing would be very much skewed in favor of Expert. So when it comes to a tie, that would benefit Expert. Therefore, if they win right now, it would be incredibly difficult for Dignitas to move past Expert in the standings. And that's why a victory for Dignitas is so important here today.
It's going to be a biggie match. But if you missed out on the matches earlier here, let's go ahead and update you on what exactly happened today on this Sunday. Earlier, we saw Tricked Esport and Fnatic face off. Fnatic walked away with a 3-0, but that 3-0 doesn't really give all the details. Tricked Esports had some good moments.
Yeah, and Alex already used Twitter immediately to say, well, of course, they congratulated Fnatic and saying also that they felt they played pretty good today, but they were up against Fnatic and couldn't really edge out a win here. But if they can just translate that performance once again into another match, that would be all that they need to really make a big case for themselves and to improve in the standings.
Later on, North America will be coming at you with some great games as well, but the match here for EU that we are looking at is Dignitas and Expert facing off. Let's go ahead and get into it, man. Our players are ready to share their thoughts.
So about Team Expert, they are definitely a strong team with Bad Benny in their lead. But I feel like they disrespect good guys, even if they didn't say it in the interview. So it's kind of a wake-up call for them. They can bounce back. I hope for them they will do it. But yes, like probably better for them that they get the wake-up call now than too late, you know. So this time against Expert, I think we have definitely a good shot to beat them. We still have our momentum against Fnatic. We lost to Fnatic, but we performed very well, so we are happy with our performance. And Expert lost to Team Good Guys, the underdogs of the HGC. So I don't think they have any momentum right now, so we are favored.
I think Dignitas is also a team that is kind of inconsistent, at least in this HGC season, because even though they had a great showing versus Fnatic, where they looked great, the day before they played Playing Ducks, they went 3-2 versus them. So I am not sure what to make of it, because Playing Ducks won their last match versus Fnatic, and now they almost win versus Dignitas. So maybe just Playing Ducks is so good, but it also might be that Dignitas is inconsistent. And in this meta, people are trying out different things like double support and other things. So a lot will depend on drafts, because no one is really sure what's the best at the moment. Because after Western Clash, we came here and people suddenly are playing different things than we were playing at Western Clash.
Yeah. Bakery, you're going down.
Yes, perfect. I forgot about that. Bad Benny coming in there being a true sport. He's such a great guy, man. He's so chill.
Yeah, but the entire team is actually really, really cool. On both sides, of course. Dignitas also being a lot of fun here, and Mene gracing us with that French accent as well. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out on him, because he's been playing a lot of mages again. Mene seems to be back on the mage train, and let's see if Dignitas drafts him his mages, his Gudan, his Li Ming today once more, or if he's back on a second support or on a utility character.
Those cheering for Expert are going to be cheering for the Mene not to be running for that golden, because he is pretty darn solid on that hero. Here is the cheers, the top 5 for Team Expert right now. 26,000 is currently in the lead.
Yeah, Cows with Clubs, still my favorite over there. So yeah, Diablo player. I hope he plays hardcore.
He probably does, man. Team Dignitas on the other side with 75,035 here for their number 1. Team Dignitas, man, on Friday came out and had a dominant 3-0. I think what the best part about watching Dignitas play is that they were decisive, very disciplined, and had good movement.
They looked scary. They really looked extremely scary. Exactly the Dignitas that you would expect that everybody missed at the Western Clash. But then again, they just didn't perform as well in part 1, so now it seems that they are in a much stronger state of mind when it comes to their performance in HGC, and that was reflected not only in recent results, but also in the interviews that we so far had with every single of their players. So they are very, very confident heading into the series now.
Well, let's get this title match started here. Game number 1. The battleground that we'll be going to is Sky Temple. Expert starting with the pick here. Dignitas will have first choice.
Also interesting, our bans in this case, because we have bans on Cursed Hollow and on Warhead, which leaves us with a potential match on Braxis.
Which is one we've seen in the past from Expert. They ran there pretty often, especially in the first phase of the HGC when they were clamoring to get in that top 3. So maybe Expert will bring back some of their odd shenanigans that we missed so much from them.
Yeah, this was the time when Trickster became a massive, massive Expert fanboy because they drafted Probius.
Yeah.
Never forget.
That was a dominant performance, man. I loved it. He even played Nova, not here in the HGC, but they've played Nova on Braxis in the past, and used Precision Strike to clear out the Hydras. That was brilliant.
How did that match go?
They won, actually. They won. I remember I casted it with Grubby, and it came down to a core rush that failed by the opposing team. So they
Wait, when did that happen?
It was forever ago. Nexus Wars back September, October.
Okay, so not HGC.
No, yeah,
all right,
it wasn't
that doesn't
HGC,
count. Like, okay,
but
get out of here.
The point is,
Get out of here.
Okay, all right. I'm going home early. It is Sunday. I got a nap. You can nap it up.
Dignitas, look at this. While Trickster is taking a nap, we have Dignitas with a heads-up play here, banning out Medivh against an opponent that has already shown, a lot of Medivh play. High affinity for the hero. Expert, on the other hand, what are they going to do on Sky? Are we going to see a ban on one of the globals? Or how are they going to react here?
What a shocking ban against Team Expert.
I've
I
never
can't
seen it
believe a
before.
team would
it's
do
amazing,
that.
yeah.
That is absolutely insane. Dignitas changing things up here. Tassadar being highlighted as a ban here for Team Expert.
So if you ban Tassadar, then it means if Dignitas takes Dehaka, you have ETC. If they take ETC, you have Dehaka. So you can play around that a bit. But also, of course, we have, with the ban on Tassadar, shutting down any kind of Tassadar Tracer shenanigans that could come into play.
We did see JPL run some ETC the last time he was playing, but usually we don't see him gravitate towards it as much. But with the meta really dictating how strong ETC is, wouldn't mind seeing it here from Dignitas.
So they actually wait quite a bit for their first pick here.
They might do the Dehaka. That's usually something that we do see from Zelia pretty often. So
it's a bit surprising that they are waiting so long because we didn't really see anything crazy banned out by Expert. It's usually one of the three, Dehaka, ETC, and Tassadar. Normally bans that are very popular right now in Europe. Abathur also being all the way up at the top. But it surprises me that Dignitas takes this much time to think about their first pick. And they opt for that Dehaka for Zelia, which leaves ETC open for Team Expert if they want him.
the ETC, Bad Benny does run it pretty darn well. Typically they move into their support on that second phase when they do grab the ETC. Rhaegar's been a standout choice as of late.
So Team Expert, again, they have said or hinted that they have a few drafts where they could also try and surprise opponents just because they feel, thanks to the recent changes, some other heroes have benefited as well that they might be bringing back into the game. And if you pull that out against any team, then you will probably try and do that against Team Dignitas just because you know how important the series is for your standings and your chances of qualifying directly for the HGC finals at BlizzCon. So I would expect that we could see towards later drafts, maybe not in the first one, some fireworks from Expert.
You say fireworks, man, I get all freedomed out. I get all excited, man. America.
Oh my
But this
God.
is a European cast, man. You gotta hold that in a little bit.
We have fireworks too? New Year's Eve? Yeah, it exists.
I like the defense.
We also
we have fireworks too.
We also have running water and stuff. Like, it's fine. That was legitimate. When we were in school and we had like these exchange classes that went over to the US, one of the first, we had a lot of interesting questions from you guys over there. Do you have running water at home? Like, duh.
What?
Yeah, that actually happens a lot. You would be surprised.
Sometimes I hear things, man, and my brain just melts. Abathur and Rhaegar for the pickup for Team Expert. They give up the ETC, going for the strength of what Abathur can bring to you, which is having, of course, very strong duelers.
Mind blown. I'm like, what?
Do you have fireworks in your brain?
It's not as pretty, but yeah.
That
so
was funny. You're supposed to laugh at it.
next time, give me a little bit of the cue so I can prepare for it. You know I don't have humor. What is humor you're speaking of? Expert actually not going for ETC, letting ETC going over to Team Dignitas. Now, keep in... Okay, oh, wow. I'm really wondering how that's going to work out for Expert. Now, keep in mind, Dignitas has, in the last 2 games that they've played, showed a huge affinity towards early picks on Dehaka and ETC. Most of their games, when they didn't have first pick, but they still had the options, it was their first rotation. Dehaka, ETC, and then later on Ultra. So this draft that you're seeing right now is pretty much what Dignitas has been aiming for every single time that we saw them play after that change. So for Expert to give that up shows a ton of confidence, because with another team I would have said, okay, maybe they didn't do their homework, maybe they don't understand drafting, but Expert is usually pretty decent when it comes to drafting, and that they are willing to give these picks over to Team Dignitas is just, on the first look, it's insane. So I kind of expect some genius stroke by the mastermind himself here now to bring that into perspective, because yes, Abathur is good, yes, Rhaegar is a great pick for support, but what we see on the side of Dignitas just makes me tremble in my sleep already. That is just frightening.
Because of CC trains, Divine Shield with the ETC being able to
I
mosh
mean-
pit, he can back up stage dive, like...
Exactly, macro game. You can play with Dehaka, you can use ETC as a global if you want. You have what they probably will not do because they have already a global with Dehaka. You have a Tong, a power slide, you can provide space with ETC for a Vala, a Lunara if you want to. We have Uther, Divine Shield into Mosh Pit combo. There's so much happening on the side of Dignitas already that will keep their backline safe, that will allow the macro play on the map, and that the Expert allows this is pretty frightening. So they themselves set into Arthas and into Vala. Solid,
Yeah.
for sure. But I'm still amazed that they are saying, we see what you were trying to do throughout the last few matches that you had, and we are willing to give you all of it.
The odd pick has to come down to a thorough, because everything else has been picked up so far, and it's nothing surprising for Team Expert.
I mean,
Arthur stops engage, which is always good.
now again, they don't have to really shock us now with the pick. I don't expect them to just revolutionize the meta by picking some hero that we have never seen at all. I mean, at one point, if it was a smaller map, I would say, think about picking Alarak maybe even. That wouldn't even be so shocking. It's a hero that still has a place, but it just doesn't fit as well into the meta than others for most teams. For me, it's more, I want to see how they approach the map now, because again, this is more something that is probably going to reveal during the game, since it's just, I mean, look at these picks. Genji now taken from Snitch, Gul'dan on the side of Mene. Every single player on this team has now one of their high priority picks, and it's also extremely high meta picks in Europe at this point.
Completely.
I mean, it's basically what we're seeing here right now. Expert could as well have gotten into the draft saying, like, you know what? You just pick what you want,
And we'll finish up on our side.
and we'll finish up after you're done. Just like take a choice on whatever you want is fine, and then later on we pick our heroes.
Well, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what they were going to pick up for their 5th pick. Could they put Arthas... Do they have a special tank they want to move into instead and put Arthas in top lane with a Thorough? A Thorough has options to move into. I mean, there's always a global thought with the Illidan. They did run it the other day. There's Sonya, but running into that many stuns seems like it'd be death for her.
I mean, I've still...
Malthael would do okay, but again, stuns everywhere to lock him down. It's going to be a Greymane.
Greymane, Abathur has a copy on... Abathur has 3 copies now. Well, you can copy Vala, but considering what he has here, he can copy Rhaegar, which is actually way better than most people think these days. The pro teams have shown that consistently, that a Rhaegar copy is actually crazy, because you have, thanks to Bite, you have on-point damage output in that small time period you have the lightning shield, you have extra heal, so you have actually a lot of tools. Arthur's copy is also fantastic, and you have a Greymane copy too. This is definitely not a horrible draft. It's not that I'm saying, oh my god, what is Expert doing? This draft is just crazy bad.
Sure.
But I'm just shocked what Dignitas got out of the draft.
Dignitas getting everything that they would normally run, where on the other side, you're having a little bit more of a complicated draft here from Expert, but if anyone's going to pull it off, it will be Expert. They've shown it in the past here, so we're going to reserve some judgment here and see if the Abathur is going to pay off. So you always have that double Gray Main, which gives up that damage, the Rhaegar that you alluded to, the Arthas if you need a little bit more control to control that ETC and that Uther on that back line. Obviously, when Uther... or when you clone an Arthas, you can get to a spot where you can actually dive that back line, so you can use your clone to actually do that and then control the front.
We have 0 interrupts for Mosh Pit outside of
Rain of
Vala
Vengeance.
picking Rain of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the only tool that they actually have if they go for it. And we have seen how on point Dignitas was in the last few games with Divine Shield into Mosh. So yeah, this is pretty scary what Dignitas is running, but let's find out if Expert can turn this around and get a win on the first map in this best of 5.
Well, here we go. Sky Temple's the battleground. Expert versus Dignitas. Dignitas needs to get this victory today. Can they pull it off?
Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. We're heading with Curson on Rhaegar. This is a nice sound that we are currently... I hope I'm not the only one that's hearing this, or I actually
Nah,
need
man,
an
you're
appointment
crazy.
with
You
the
got bells
physician,
in your
but
head.
It's only me, damn it. All right, to the left, Team Expert, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, they are going to try and win this first map. As to the right, we see their opponents spawn in red.
To the right, it will be a Dignitas. Bakery playing the Uther, Zelia on the Dahaka, JPL on ETC, Snitch on Genji, Mane on Gul'dan. And man, you are completely nailing on the head here. When you talk about every single hero being trademarked here by the player so far, the only one that may be a bit more reserved on is JPL on ETC, but he still makes that one look insane, and he played it a lot in the first phase. Snitch has been killing it on Genji lately, and then you look at Zelia, and besides him, I would probably call out Wubby too as probably some of the best Dahakas here in Europe.
Dignitas' draft is definitely insanely good, and Team Expert were confident enough to give it to them. They didn't even contest any of these picks, especially the early rotation that we saw with Vala, with Abathur and Rhaegar taken and allowing Dignitas to head into Dehaka, Uther, and ETC was definitely something that I didn't expect here. But Dignitas has shown that style several times now, so it didn't catch Team Expert off guard. That definitely didn't happen, so they must be confident in their ability to deal with it. Down to the bot lane, we see one-on-one between Greymane and Dehaka, and of course that's going to end in favor of Greymane this time because they have the added Abathur, which is definitely a game changer for any kind of solo lane battle.
Yeah, but that solo lane battle right now is the Vala versus the Gul'dan in the top lane, which could be a bit of a nuisance there if Gul'dan uses his Drain Life a little bit ineffectively. Always got to keep on in that Genji, but if Vala wants to all in on that spot, she can force a fight, so Gul'dan's going to play safe there in that top lane. Bottom side though, Greymane is going to be taking some damage here as Dignitas comes in, and that is all the control we were talking about in the draft being on full display. No amount of hats from Abathur will keep you alive there.
Yeah, there was a very quick 100-0 in the damage department. We have Abathur moving down to the bot lane within a second just to make sure that no experience is lost for Team Expert. So Dignitas definitely with a good kill. But this damage to Team Expert still mitigated by Abathur having the ability to cross map.
Okay, so the temples are being controlled here. Dignitas will have the ability, if they would like to try and force for both, but they don't mind going for the 1-for-1 there, with Dahaka being on the bottom side. We'll see if he's going to come in here for the brush shot. 3 people do move to the top right away. With Uther Suki in the middle here, they can buy some time, grab a few more shots, and try to get advantage of their opponents in terms of turrets being killed off.
In the mid lane is now being contested. Team Expert is trying to get shots for themselves, but we have Greymane moving down to push some pressure on Zelia. They're trying to break through the wall here, I assume. Already having that. It's actually pretty nice that they have the healing ward in the back just to make this a little bit of an outpost. Doesn't last for too long. It's still long enough to help them. The problem is that the rotation is starting to hit, and now Ethereal is in a bit of trouble, but Curson is helping him out. Snitch nearly gets the kill and actually confirms it towards the end here. Makes this a 2-4-0 in kills in favor of Team Dignitas.
Good control there by the Genji. Gosh, having no control on the opposing side makes it much more terrifying for that Genji to be shut down here. Greymane will have some options with some auto attacks when we get later on into the team fights, and if a Hungering Arrow does land on top of Genji, his health bar is low enough to be picked up.
Let's just also mention that this came at a cost, though. This kill meant that we had Dignitas rotate heroes down, so they got the kill, but again, there was no experience lost for Team Expert because we had still Rhaegar on the lane, whereas Dignitas rotated heroes away from the temples, and so Team Expert could pick up a few additional shots on those, which was really important to pressure the structures even more. So just to put it in perspective here, we have 2 kills for Team Dignitas, but Expert got something out of it as well.
That they did here. Dignitas grabbing Giants and the Knights pushing in the top side here. Dahaka will push on in. And Team Expert grabs their own Giants as well. So they are holding their own here, which is usually a good point to show out here when you're moving towards that level 10 with an Abath there. Having that body missing usually dictates that you're going to miss something somewhere, but they have been doing really well in their rotations. Abath in the middle lane, holding against Genji, needs to be a bit careful, but he can still soak.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be careful. We've seen a few Genji players being highly aggressive when they see an Abath on the other side. Maka is a very good example, where he oftentimes jumps walls and sees if he can a quick kill against Abathur and the reset to escape, therefore. Bad Benny at the bot lane, working on those Giants, and both of the teams are now on level 7, which gives us Mule for Abathur, so already trying to make sure that those structures are going to be repaired after taking hits.
Bottom lane coming in a little bit here. Dignitas will be able to clear that out. Eyes on the prize for the next temple. It'll be hitting pretty soon here with Genji breaking down the turrets in the middle lane with the help of the temple earlier. They do get a slight experience lead, but nothing too crazy for Team Expert. Mule being here, already healing up those temples and those turrets, making sure that Team Expert stays in the game.
Yeah, so a little bit of a stacking process going on for Vala now, currently sitting at 30 extra damage. We have, of course, a lot of quest talents in play here, with ETC currently sitting at 9 regeneration globes, and we have 8 stacks for Gul'dan on the Echoed Corruption. But the Temple is activating in a few seconds, and Dehaka is pushing heavily at the top lane. AD already had to move back with a little slugger here, since Dehaka got dangerously close, and the Dinosaur is always happy to snack a worm. But with Greymane moving in, he had to back off at least for now. That is, of course, going to continue here. And at this point, Expert is starting to not only lose the Temple, but they're also losing out on the bot lane. Top
They
lane.
are. They're going to come in the middle and try to bite back. Working on the turrets here in the middle, working on their 9 and their 10. Maybe just giving this up, and it looks like they are going to. Want to try and coordinate a gank on Dahaka on the top lane. Greymane and Rhaegar are coming in and grabbing the watchtower.
Vala.
But already Vala, as you mentioned, taking some heat from Snitch.
Yeah, a lot of damage here on Nick. I guess that we're going to see, actually in this case, AD already decided to go into a different level 4 talent. We've been highlighting him quite heavily on Abathur, since he usually loves to go into the Toxic Nest talents to set up these traps, particularly on Dragonshire. But now with the Dreadnought Overlord as his level 4 talent, he doesn't have as many Toxic Nest charges available to himself, so we're going to see him with more of a focus for those melee assassins and also tanks.
Great there for the Greymane, but speaking of Greymane, Snitch with the level 10. Zelia goes in and starts bringing out the damage with Snitch using the Dragon Blade. They get a pickup on Greymane.
A 10 here, it's an entire level lead thanks to that fort that was eliminated at the bot lane. So Dignitas has already taken control of the game so far. But of course, what Expert is waiting for is their own heroic ability when Abathur is finally going to be able to get his copy into play. And we have 10 now reached. And another Mule being dropped up at the top lane to repair the fort. So with this, they can really just take away from the value that Dignitas is getting out of temples quite heavily. So it's a pretty cool talent to take for this map in particular.
Yeah, every time you grab a temple, you want to make sure they commit to the idea of the fort being killed off. If Team Expert is able to introduce chaos into that idea and hold off on the fort, just mule it up, get the health back there, which again nullifies that temple that does pop in. So 10 is now here for Team Expert. Will they be looking for a team fight against their opponents? They're starting to group up here in the middle. Howling Blast will come out, but miss JPL as he gets away.
Yeah, Boss actually gets activated and is starting to chuck away against Bakery. We have both of the teams now going for their own camps, and still, it's 10 versus 10. Both are looking really for an opening here where they can finally start to get team fight forced. We have 9 stacks still on the side of Menes Gul'dan. He has a pretty rough time to actually get the stacks together for his level 1 talent.
Yeah, using that corruption there, a little bit hard when people aren't stacking up against you. Being in those one-on-ones make it harder to stack up, so he'll be looking to grab those later here. Still, a nice taunt to grab if you want to be safe. You can always go for the Felf Lane build. It gives you actually a little bit more damage, but you are in a spot where you're not able to siege away as easily and safely.
Yeah, a top lane is where another camp is now also taken. This is where we are seeing Greymane active, and he gets a bit of assistance from Abathur whenever needed. So he's going to take this in time, but Ethereal is also dropping low, which is why Kirsten immediately comes over and helps out with a quick healing ward. So they can fight for the temple now, at least the top one, since Dignitas has already taken the control of the bottom of the map. And with the extra camp that they just took, they might be able to push through the fort before the temple even becomes a thing.
Temple on the bottom being grabbed. Fort will die, so Mule will not be able to save that. So there we go. Gul'dan doing a solid job here. With a few people being at the top lane and committing to the fort, Dignitas can make a play here for either the keep wall, even boss, or push in for a keep itself. And they decided to move in for the keep wall on the bottom side while ETC pushes in the middle.
Yeah, right now the top push is pretty heavily in favor of Dignitas since they are breaking through that wall and they still have the camp. So I think that Dignitas has to react to Expert's push. But overall, I mean, the advantage definitely goes to Team Dignitas right now. The Mule could be the saving grace on the other hand. Like taking or healing or repairing the fort at the top again is definitely making it harder for Dignitas to get value through the objectives, as you can see now.
Fort in the middle gets cleaned up on Dignitas' side, and that actually allows Team Expert to tie it up in talents here, 13-13, while Dig works on the Mercs on the top right side, finally defending that push that did come their way. And the only thing on the map here to now grab is that boss in the middle. Will Dignitas attempt to commit to it, or they allow Abathur to continue soaking on the side?
Nah, I mean, you can't commit to the boss at this point. It's like you don't have a talent advantage, you haven't killed anyone, so I don't think that's ever going to happen. It's also a bit too early. Like, you don't really want to take this risk to go for it. If anything, Expert could have tried to sneak it in when they saw everyone up at the top lane, because they have Monster Hunter and Vala, but we already saw a JPL in the vicinity. And Dignitas actually starts it, but we already see the rotation happening, and they move away. Yeah, that would have been that would have been a pretty big mistake to commit to it completely.
Yeah, they committed to it. That was mostly more of a mic check, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to like, hey, is anyone in the area? If not, we're taking this boss. If you do push in and get a power slide, sure, we get a fight. But the moment they see 3 people pop up, they're spread out pretty well. Dig wisely backs away.
Yeah, you can always make an attempt to sneak something, but as soon as you see anyone in the vicinity, if you don't have an advantage whatsoever, you're well advised to just say, okay, let's let this slide.
Well, now it's all about getting 16 here. Dahaka continues to try and work on that 4 in the top, but Abathur has been quite a pain as he keeps dropping down that mule, keeping the fort alive here. It's at full health for the moment. Dahaka isn't really getting as much of the pushing he would like to get.
Dignitas was never going to be able to sneak that boss in without anybody noticing, not with the Abathur being around. We have seen some toxic nests being dropped continuously down here just to make sure that he knows what's happening, and there's another one already being placed. So Dignitas, if they take the boss, they will do so knowing that Team Expert is aware of what's happening here.
I do enjoy Expert dancing around, though, a lot here. They so far have avoided their opponents very much here. In fact, they have 0 kills. They've had 3 against them, with Dignitas getting the pickups. Now, Dignitas has gotten a little bit more experience because of this, but they, again, have offset that with that mule, making sure that 4 doesn't get picked off. If they can at least trade out 1-for-1 temples in the 2 temple phases, they're good to go. And speaking of temples, they're activating now.
Exactly, and Dignitas has soon level 16, and that's why they're delaying this even a bit, and Dehaka is also side-soaking, so the extra talent is giving them that lead again. And that makes this extremely dangerous for Expert now. They have now a fight in the mid lane where Dehaka has already started to claim shots at the top, so they can turn this even with the Burrow of Dehaka towards the middle into a 5 versus 5 with a talent advantage, and that's something that Expert is not going to be happy about at all.
No, they are not here. As Dig gets both the temples, they finally get that forward that Abathur worked so hard to keep alive. He's going to feel bad about that one.
Gave the fort a name. It's Freddy. Freddy.
Now I'm actually sad. Freddy died. It's a morbid joke, Aldo. That's not okay.
Freddy is dead, Tim. Deal with it.
Wow. I mean, jeez, man. I don't know how I'm friends with you. Seriously. 16-16 now. Team Expert ties it up. But Dignitas is finding a moment to get a lead here with Giants pushing in the bottom side. They're grouping up in the middle, pushing on their opponent a little bit, trying to make them wiggle. Maybe they can get to a spot where they can put some more damage on the keep on the bottom side. Or if they get everyone to retract back, they can go for that sneaky boss play again. And actually, they go over to the sneaky boss. But the moment Snitch walks onto a mine and they see Greymane step up in the middle, Dig backs away.
But they always keep some pressure up here. They never really fully commit to it, but they keep Expert on their toes. Expert the entire time has to really keep an eye on what's happening, and whenever they see someone missing on the map, they have to assume that there's a boss being taken. If that leads us to an eventually like epic trap in a bush, that would be pretty awesome.
That it would be. Let's see if they ever get that.
Oh, Bakery
does
slowed.
get slowed here. Damage comes out. Bakery is low. The boss is going to be procced here, and Bakery barely gets away, heals on up.
A lot of free damage here against him. Dehaka in the meantime is still top lane and starting to de-push. It's still at 1 level lead that we have for Dignitas, and that was established earlier in the game. But right now, it's of course an attempt of Expert to get they need to get to level 20 a little bit faster than they currently do.
I was expecting a little bit of a harder time for Team Expert, but seriously, I gotta commend them. They have done a really good job of just moving around the map, avoiding team fights, which is something that you seem to have on this map often, and just doing enough to hang in there. They're hanging in there, and they're waiting for that one moment where they can turn around and win a team fight.
Yeah, but at the same time, they at some point have to flip that switch, and that's the moment that I'm still waiting for. We haven't seen a big team fight between the two teams just yet. So Mosh Pit and Divine Shield is still a very, very big tool in the toolkit of Team Dignitas, and let's not forget about Horrify being able to be used by them as well. And of course, they are the ones running the global. Again, we have to highlight that. Dehaka has been constantly up at the top lane, and now Team Expert is starting to actually push the boss. Dignitas, of course, reacts, and this is the fight that we've been waiting for. Dehaka needs to move in, and he might be a little bit too late, actually.
Here it comes. JPL goes in for the mosh pit on top of the boss. Already, we have a Grey Mane down. Rhaegar gets grabbed here by Zalia, and Snitch cleans up Bolo on the side. JPL just stands in one spot and says, "This is my boss." Turns around, takes it away, and Team Dignitas will start to walk away with a 4-man wipe. Only Abathur lives, but that's because he was in base AFK.
Yeah, and that, first of all that, and second of all, that was a fight that was heavily won even though Bakery misclicked his Divine Shield. He hit it on a full hit point Grey Mane instead of the ETC, which he actually wanted to shield, and it didn't even matter. It just made it sure that no, he hit it on, was it? Oh,
Genji.
no, sorry, my bad. He was for Genji for the Dragon Blade. He didn't miss it. I actually thought he wanted to hit it on ETC. But yeah, so that leads to a pretty quick end of the game. One team fight, all that we saw here basically. Not a single kill for Team Expert. And yeah, Dignitas takes it pretty
Diplomatically.
Yeah.
I like the idea. I mean, Expert was like, okay, maybe we've created enough of a window here to go for this. They avoided a fight the entire time, maybe conditioned Dignitas to a point where it's like, all right, they're not going to fight. They go for the boss play, but a little bit too early. JPL comes in for the power slide, controls the space well, and you saw what happens when a T-fight breaks out there for Team Dignitas. They just had too much control.
Yeah, and my apologies for the missed call. For some reason, I had Grey Mane on their side.
It's
And
not okay, Caldor. That one's going in the books.
Okay. But again, I have to, after seeing this, what the hell was this draft, Expert? I don't know. Like, I was ready for them just showcasing some kind of synergy that I didn't expect, some kind of approach to countering what Dignitas has. But if you look at that game, this went pretty much as expected, with Dignitas just having a comfort pick on every single player that they have and having this massive advantage of running an ETC Dehaka with an Uther even. So they had everything they needed. Dehaka was constantly side soaking. There was a constant one-level lead on the side of Dignitas, which oftentimes led to situations where Expert had to move back from an objective because they simply couldn't fight with the talent disadvantage. And then when we saw that last fight, it came down to a boss fight, as Sky Temple so often does. And there's a power slide, a mosh pit, Genji with the Divine Shield that just sliced away in the backline. I could not see really any angles for Expert to break through that. And that's why I just don't understand why that Abathur and Rhaegar in the first two slots was necessary with them giving ETC plus Dehaka away like this.
We'll see if they change it up as we get ready for the next game. But before we move in, I'm hoping to see more of this matchup. Bad Benny versus JPL. Many have talked about Bad Benny and his excellence that he has really started to improve upon, especially in the last few weeks. I mean, going into phase 1, I think the 5th or 6th week, we started to see Bad Benny, and we're like, this guy is special. He really brings it in. And him facing up against JPL will be quite the matchup.
Yeah, one of the things that people also highlight about him, especially when you talk to the top teams, is the way that he anchors for his team and that he always creates options. So when it comes to the straight-up comparison, JPL outshines him definitely here in basically every single category, which also showcases how good JPL is. Like, he is definitely one of the best tanks that we have in the European Heroes of the Storm scene.
That he is, man. Lots of great tanks here, lots of great supports here in Europe. Always something that you can learn from, so make sure to continue to watch these guys. Copy their builds, use them as guidelines, figure out what exactly they're doing right so you can improve yourself in your own games. Let's go ahead and go to the next battleground here. Game number 2.